The name Alfa Romeo conjures up images of fast, fun-to-drive cars that are also unreliable, badly built and uncomfortable. To disprove this notion, Alfa Romeo sent us a Mito QV Sport for a year and 20,000 Ks. This is my experience with it. In the last year, the Mito has been to the Free State and back twice, been taken along the garden route full to the brim with adults and their luggage, been used as a tracking car, been performance tested by car and driven a variety of mountain passes in the Western Cape, and it excelled in all of those disciplines. No discussion about an Alfa Romeo would be complete without talking about its design. Even 5 years after its launch, the Mito still looks beautiful. This emotive approach extends to the design of the cabin and the exciting way it drives. Easily one of my favorite aspects of the Mito is the design of the cabin and the layout of the controls. Everything falls easily to hand, including the buttons for the great sounding audio system, the climate control which is standard on this QV Sport model, and the gear lever. The cabin has held up remarkably well in terms of quality as well. This one doesn't rattle at all and has a few creaks on really rough roads, unlike the Mini Cooper Coupe, which is also in our fleet and is sounding a lot worse. The cabin isn't perfect, however. The driving position is slightly flawed. It still has that long-armed, short-leg setup of older Alfas, while the audio system doesn't play Bluetooth via streaming. That, however, will be fixed in the third quarter of this year when the facelifted Mito arrives. Space in the back was also often a problem. Headroom's fine, but there isn't a lot of room for legs, while the boot is on the tight side. Forward of the stubby gear lever is a silver toggle switch that controls the car's DNA system. DNA stands for dynamic, normal and all-weather, and influences the weighting of the steering wheel, the sensitivity of the throttle, the amount of torque delivered, and on the Sport model only, the damping system. It's a bit of a mixed bag, to be quite honest. I left it in normal mode mostly because I preferred the lighter steering wheel and the comfier ride, but I didn't appreciate the soggy throttle response. Put it into the dynamic and the car produces 20 Newton meters more and feels far more alert and alive, but is then compromised for daily use. Which brings us to my favorite aspect of the Mito, its 1.4 litre turbocharged multi-air engine. It develops 125 kilowatts and 230 Newton meters of torque, 250 when in dynamic mode, is light on fuel, relatively, on the open road, sounds good, and has lots of overtaking punch. So, after a year and 20,000 Ks spent with the Mito, has it managed to disprove or reinforce some of the stereotypes I mentioned at the start of this review? Yes and no. Yes, it's been great fun to drive, and yes, it's very beautiful to look at. But it's also been very reliable. Nothing's broken in the cabin, and it's fairly comfortable. Would I recommend the Mito QV Sport though? Well, not necessarily. At 322,000 Rand, it seems quite expensive when compared to the newer, more rounded Audi A1 and Mini Cooper, while it only has a service plan versus their maintenance plans and poorer resale value. However, if it's something unique you want, the Mito doesn't make a bad buy. I never had a dull moment with it and would actually be quite sad to see it go.